When Sarah started coming home late every Friday, I didn't think much of it. She claimed she was hanging out with her guy best friend, Ethan, someone she'd known since college. I trusted her, even though my gut often whispered something wasn't right. Every time I asked what they did, she'd just smile that smug little smile and say, "You don't need to know, Ryan." At first, I brushed it off as harmless teasing, but the more she said it, the more it burned. One evening, when she repeated the same line with that same smirk, something inside me snapped. I realized this wasn't just about friendship, it was about disrespect. I decided to stop asking questions and start getting answers. The next Friday, she dressed up as usual, spritzed on perfume, and left with her phone glued to her hand. I waited 15 minutes, grabbed my jacket, and followed her. She wasn't heading to Ethan's place like she claimed. She stopped at a fancy restaurant downtown, the kind we only visited on anniversaries. Through the window, I saw her laughing, touching Ethan's hand across the table, looking happier than I'd seen her in months. My heart broke, but I didn't confront her. I took photos quietly and left. I knew I'd need evidence if things got worse. That night, she came home smelling of wine and lies. I pretended to be asleep while she slipped into bed. The next morning, she made breakfast like nothing happened. I smiled, kissed her cheek, and went to work as usual, but my mind was already plotting. I wasn't going to shout or cry. I wanted her to feel what real consequences looked like. Over the next few weeks, I acted normal, better than normal, actually. I surprised her with small gifts, complimented her, even suggested she take more Friday hangouts to relax. She seemed thrilled that I was being so understanding. In truth, I was setting the stage for my exit. Meanwhile, I quietly met with a lawyer and gathered every piece of proof I had. I learned that Ethan wasn't just a friend. They'd been secretly seeing each other for months. My lawyer advised patience and precision, so I waited. One Friday, while she was out with Ethan, I packed my belongings, cleared my half of the bank account, and left a sealed envelope on the kitchen counter. Inside it was everything: photos, call logs, and a letter explaining exactly what I knew. When she came home late that night, she found the house half empty. My letter ended with, "Now you don't need to know what I'm doing anymore." I turned off my phone and checked into a hotel. For the first time in a long while, I slept peacefully. The next morning, she called dozens of times, then switched to angry texts. She accused me of overreacting and ruining our marriage over a misunderstanding. I didn't reply. 2 days later, she showed up at my office in tears, begging to talk. My coworkers stared in shock as she broke down in the lobby, but I didn't budge. I simply told her, "You didn't respect our marriage when it mattered. There's nothing left to fix." In the following weeks, mutual friends reached out, trying to mediate. Most of them already knew about her and Ethan. Apparently, it wasn't as secret as she thought. The embarrassment she faced when the truth spread around town was the kind of justice I didn't even have to deliver myself. She and Ethan tried to keep their relationship going, but it fell apart within a month. He wasn't looking for a serious commitment, just excitement. I filed for divorce quietly and made sure it was finalized without any drama. Sarah tried to negotiate, pleading for another chance, but I refused to be drawn in. My heart had hardened, and no apology could undo the smirk that had started it all. Once the paperwork was done, I moved to a new apartment and began focusing on rebuilding my life. Months later, I ran into her at a grocery store. She looked tired, worn down. Her smile was gone, replaced by regret. She tried to strike up a conversation, but I simply nodded and walked away. That short exchange told me everything I needed to know. She finally understood the weight of what she'd lost. I didn't take joy in her misery, but there was peace in knowing I hadn't lowered myself to her level. My revenge hadn't been loud or cruel. It was silent, clean, and complete. She once said I didn't need to know what she did on Fridays. Now, she doesn't need to know anything about my life at all. Today, my Fridays are quiet but peaceful. I spend them hiking, reading, or sometimes just enjoying dinner with genuine friends. I learned that sometimes the best revenge isn't getting even. It's walking away with your dignity intact. Sarah chose deceit. I chose freedom. And that made all the difference. In the end, she lost her secret Fridays, her false confidence, and the man who would have stood by her through anything. As for me, I gained clarity, strength, and the sweetest revenge of all, moving on without bitterness, knowing she'll forever remember the day her smirk finally disappeared.